and thanks for joining. If you're new here, I'm Wendy and this is Nina's Jewels. My husband and I buy things at garage sales, flea markets, thrift stores, just about anywhere we can find things to sell online and flip for a profit. If that's content you're interested in, you're in the right place. Today's video is going to be what sold for March 4th through 10th. Sales were really low once again for us this week, but we still managed to sell a few things. It was just not a very good week for us, but in real time, sales have been picking up quite a bit, so hopefully that is an indication that things are turning around a little bit. We did have one sale on Mercari this week. It was a bottle of Coco Chanel Mademoiselle perfume. We got this in the recent storage auction unit that we purchased. We purchased the whole unit for $75, but we broke down our per item cost of the unit for just 28 cents per item. So we paid 28 cents for this bottle of perfume. It was a used bottle, so we did not list it on eBay. Don't list any used perfume on eBay because they are not allowing sales of any used bottles anymore. You can only list empty bottles of perfume or brand new bottles of vintage perfume or new perfume. So we opted to list this on Mercari because as far as I have seen, heard, I've reviewed the policies on Mercari, you can sell used perfume on Mercari. And we did sell this item on Mercari for best offer of $40 even. The rest of the sales were all on eBay. And the next item that we sold was a Gap women's down-filled hot pink puffer vest. We got this at a thrift store for $4.87 and it sold for our full asking price of $34.99. It did take quite a while for it to sell. Next up was a lot of two decorative 5-inch, they were kind of like beaded corn decorations, something that you would use around Thanksgiving time or something like that. It was kind of odd that it sold this time of the year, but you know, who knows what they needed it for. They were really pretty. They were missing a few pieces of the beading that were on them, but we disclosed that. We got these at a garage sale for $1 and they sold on offer to buyer for $9.58. Next up was one of the Maker's Mark bandanas that we got. We got a huge bag of brand new Maker's Mark branded bandanas at the Goodwill bins. And we just listed all of them in a quantity listing. We've been selling them here and there ever since we listed them, so that was a good pickup. We sold this one for full price, which was $9.99. We had paid $1.18 for each of the items that we got at the bins that day. We did get positive feedback on this item. Next up was another item that we got at the bins that same day, so our cost on this item was also $1.18. This was a genuine Samsung replacement TV remote control. We tested it and it worked. It sold for $9.99, which is our full asking price. Unfortunately, the buyer did return it because they said that they accidentally bought the wrong model. So we have gotten that relisted. Next up was a vintage 1976 Mattel Twist and Turn Barbie. She had long curly brown hair and her hair was really, really tangled. But she did have some purple earrings in, which made her more desirable, I thought, so I listed that in the title. We got her in a thrift store toy bag of dolls. We paid $1.61, and she sold for $13.58, which was an offer to buyer. We did have a return opened on this item also, and the buyer sent us a picture showing that there was some damage on the doll's neck that I guess we missed. I looked at our listing and didn't see that we showed a photo of that part of the neck, and I couldn't see where that damage would have been. So I'm just waiting for the buyer to send that item back, and we will be happy to provide a full refund if it is something that we missed. And if the doll is damaged, I'll probably just end up taking those earrings out and parting them out. Next up was an item that we got for free from someone who was giving away a bunch of magazines on Nextdoor. This was an Okra magazine, which is not a magazine I'm familiar with, but it's a Southern food or a Southern lifestyle magazine, I think. And this sold for $9.99. We had no cost involved with that. Next up was an OEM Dell wired mouse. We got this in the Goodwill bins. We paid 94 cents for it, and it sold for a full asking price of $9.99. Next up was, the brand was Omron, or Omron, I'm not sure how to say it. This was an electrotherapy pain relief device. It had like some electrodes that you would place on whatever area of your body you were experiencing pain. And then it would send electric pulses to that part of your body to provide pain relief. We tested it and it worked. And we had gotten that at a garage sale. I paid $10 for it. And unfortunately, that was kind of a bad buy because this did only sell for $25. But we have purchased some of these electrotherapy devices before. There are some that clip onto your ears that help you with, I think, help with either pain relief or maybe some kind of, I'm thinking, I might be remembering this incorrectly, but I'm thinking it might help with sleep or something like that. And that one was very, very valuable. I think we sold that one for like 80 something dollars. We'd gotten that one in an estate sale for like $5 and sold that one for significantly more. So that was why I had paid $10 for this one. But this particular one wasn't as valuable as that other one. But be on the lookout for some of these electrotherapy devices because some of them can be quite valuable. Next up was a keyboard adapter for a PS2 keyboard. We had found this in a storage area of the other business that we own and listed it for $7.99. We had no cost involved with it. We had it in our store for a very long time. But, you know, somebody eventually came along and needed it and purchased it for our full asking price of $7.99. It was a tiny little thing, didn't take up any space, so we just decided to leave it listed until it eventually sold. Next up was a lot of 2 hardcover books. They were like erotic romance books. They were called the Zane Sex Chronicles. We had 2 different books, but neither one of them had the dust jackets. And we had gotten these in the first storage auction unit that we purchased for $30, and our out-of-pocket cost for each of the items from that unit was just 23 cents. So we sold those for $8 even on best offer, and we did get positive feedback on that. Next up was another bad buy. This was something I got at a garage sale. It was a Marjorie Bloom Collection orange clutch, and it had this really cool dragon kind of like emblem on the closure, on the magnetic closure part, but I missed that it had some damage on it in the fold part of the, like where the clutch kind of folded in on itself. It was not real leather, and it was kind of beginning to peel in that part of the faux leather. But it was still a really cool purse, and I think Marjorie Bloom is kind of a high-end brand, so it did still have some value to it. I had paid $10 for that at the garage sale, and it only sold for $22.38 on best offer. But we did get positive feedback on it because I had fully disclosed the wear and tear that was on that purse, and the buyer was very happy with it, so we were glad about that. Next up was 2 pair of the saltwater kids sandals that we got in this shoe liquidation purchase. These were 2 different pairs of the white original sandals. The buyer just purchased them in 2 different sizes. She paid full price for these, and they sold for $85.98, and our out-of-pocket cost for those was $18.18. Next up was a vintage lot of 3 recipe booklets. It included a 1982 Strawberry Advisory Board booklet, and then some booklets from the 1940s. One of them was a Westinghouse barbecue booklet, and then I don't have listed in the title what the other one was, but it was also from the 1940s or 50s. These, we got 2 of them at an estate sale, and one of them actually was inside of another cookbook that I got at a garage sale, so that one was free. Our out-of-pocket cost for all of them in total was $2 at an estate sale. These sold on best offer for $12 even. Up next is a pair of Nike women's camouflage cargo shorts. They had like a really cool camo pattern, and if you looked really closely at the camo pattern, it was actually in the shape of people, so it was a really cool pattern. We got these at the Goodwill bins when we were playing Bins Bingo, and these sold for our full asking price of $17.99, and we had paid just $1.18 for those. Next up was a Shein women's medium pink and purple stripe, strappy, kind of like bra crop top. And I don't really list a lot of Shein stuff that I come across, but we did get this out of a storage unit that we recently purchased for $75. And I just thought this top was really cute. I knew somebody, if they saw it, would buy it. And so I decided to list it, and it did sell for a best offer, or actually an offer to buyer of $13.48. And we had paid just 28 cents for each of the items out of that $75 unit. Next up was another item that we got out of that same unit. This was a Delaware souvenir bell, and that sold for $17.99, and we had paid just 28 cents for that item as well. Next up was an item that we got out of the Goodwill bins. This was a brand new sealed 8-inch square pillow insert by the brand Country Air. We paid 61 cents for this at the Goodwill bins, and it sold for $10 even on best offer. And that actually sold to a repeat buyer who had purchased another one of these from us at an earlier time. And we have one more pillow insert, so we're hoping that she'll come back and purchase the third one from us. Next up was something that we got out of one of the storage units that we purchased. This was 2 Happy Meal toys, and they were the levitating Jack toys from the movie The Incredibles 2. And we had 2 of these. They were not new in the package. They were both loose. We listed them as a quantity listing, and a buyer came in and purchased both of them for a total cost of $15.98. That was our full asking price, and we had paid just 46 cents for those out of a storage unit. Next up was a pair of swim trunks that belonged to my son, but he actually never wore them. These were Art Class brand. They were coral swim trunks, and they were actually gifted to him, so we had no cost associated with those, and they sold for $11.98 on offer to buyer. Next up was a Hooked on Phonics reading power set. This is a Bolo item if you ever come across a Hooked on Phonics set, or I think they also do Hooked on Math. If you ever come across these anywhere, it's usually worth picking up. The pack that we had was incomplete. It was missing one part, and then it had a workbook in it that had a lot of writing in it. So we did have to disclose that. You'll see in the title where I said read, and that's what that was referring to. We got this at a thrift store. We paid $3.78 for it, and this sold for our full asking price of $37.99. In the title, I usually try to include the keyword homeschool, because items that are learning based, usually if you include the word homeschool in the title, that will help it to sell. Next up was an item that we got in the recent storage unit purchase that we bought. This was a Free Boy handmade wooden and plastic corn cob pipe. It was unused, new condition. This sold for $11.68 on offer to buyer, and our cost was 28 cents. Next up was a really good sale. This was an item that we got at a garage sale. They were brand new in the package. They were Moen genuine factory parts. They were 2 packs of polished brass lever handle inserts. We had 2 of them, and they both sold to the same buyer for a total price of $49.98. We had paid just $2 for those at a garage sale. So Moen parts, definitely something to be on the lookout for. Some of them will sell for very high. These were new old stock, so they were probably something that somebody was trying to match in their house and hard to find. So we were able to fetch a really high price for those. Next up was a Billabong women's plaid pea coat that we had gotten in the Goodwill bins. This we paid $1.41 for, and it sold on an offer to buyer of $23.98. Next up was another item that we got out of that recent storage unit purchase. The brand was Aspen. It was a one-size pink crocheted beanie, and this sold for $16.99, and we had paid just 28 cents. And finally, another item that came out of that same storage unit. This was a J. Crew Mediterranean Beach graphic t-shirt. We had a lot of interest on this item. It was one of the original J. Crew, not the outlet, so it was the black tag. Those are always more popular. This sold for $15 even on best offer, and we had paid just 28 cents for that. And last but not least, I'll go over all of the collectible cards that sold from my husband's personal collection. This week we sold 5 cards for a total dollar amount of $13.45. So as you can see, we have definitely seen a decrease in sales over these past few weeks, but like I said, our sales have started to go up over the past few days, so hopefully that trend will continue, and hopefully that is what you're seeing as well. Let me know in the comments below how your sales are doing, and if you enjoyed this video, let us know by hitting the thumbs up button. And if you're not already subscribed, consider hitting that subscribe button with the notification bells turned on. And stick around for the next video that's going to pop up right over here. And we'll catch you guys on the flip side. Bye.